Hi, it's early May in Northwest Pennsylvania, and this video is being done in haste because it dawned on me if you are looking into scrumping, that is collecting wild apples to make hard cider in the fall, you've got to get busy now. Okay, the point being is that right now the trees are still kind of dormant here. They're not blossoming yet. But this is your little time where you can actually see the trees when they start to blossom, and you can find those wild apple groves you've been looking for. Once you find them, then you can start to plan your year out. But you got to find them. If you wait until all the trees have foliage and the like on them, they're a lot harder to find. So a couple of things. One, private property. Always respect private property. This is like a big deal. I can't overemphasize it. Secondly, two, when you're looking for trees, look for access. Now, what I mean by access is you may see a whole lot of trees, but ask yourself, can I get close to those trees? Mark them, know where they are, but ask yourself, if I want to pick fruit from these trees in the fall, do I need to clear all the multiflora rows out of them? Do I need to clean up underneath them? Is there dead wood hanging on them? But ask yourself, what do you need to do to make that tree accessible? It's super important that it's relatively clear underneath, because you'll probably put down a tarp to collect your fruit, or you're going to be able just to move around. So look at the trees, ask yourself that. Third, homeowners, property rights, access to the tree, and make sure it's an apple tree. Okay, there's a lot of blossoms on a lot of different kind of trees right now. I'm going to go into these follow-on videos and tell you a little bit about trees. I'm also going to point out home orchards, and I'm going to also talk about, I'm going to call a coppice, coppice, that is a wild grove that's being maintained by somebody. They've made it a personal green space. And that's something you might be able to do, especially in a national forest environment. They're okay with you adopting an area, remembering you don't own it. So I want you to start looking at the apple trees. I want you to start looking for them. Oh, last but not least, hunting season. Apples ripen during hunting season. So even if you're in public land and the like, always remember that when you're moving in an area that's not familiar, please blaze orange, protect yourself. Out of fairness to hunters, don't make yourself a target by making a sound like a wild animal in by the apple trees. It's really a bad idea. So I really encourage you. We've been bundled up for a long time. You want to get outside. You need to maintain social distancing. Get to the woods. Go looking for apple trees. Now, something else. Get to your library. That is, pick up the phone, however your library does it, and down below is a reading list of books I highly recommend. Because we're talking about wild apples, I'm putting on the top of the list in recommendation, not alphabetical, Andy Brennan's book, Uncultivated. You need it. Read it. It's a great book. It talks about his genesis, his evolution to becoming a cider maker. He made a lot of mistakes, but he got a lot of things right. So I really want to recommend Andy Brennan's book. I'm going to recommend a lot of other books too, because I want you to create a cider culture. Wherever you live, use that as the catalyst to get to know people, the catalyst to get a sense of place. Make it your Walden, make it your world. Learn where the apple trees are, where nature's gift and foraging and feasting are all about. So this was done in haste today. I'm editing on the fly. It's rough. I hope you enjoy it. I really hope you enjoy it. Share it with others. By all means, though, on the top of the list, get to know your library too, because your libraries are still there to serve you. You can still check books out. It's just different. The libraries are still very, very relevant as you explore the place you live in and you become a forager and a cider maker. Okay, let's get to it. Hello, it's a chilly day in early May here in Northwest Pennsylvania. And I want to talk about scrumping, and I want to talk about the differences between cultivated trees and wild trees. So if you look behind me, this is a very nice home orchard that is a mix of different fruit varieties and different fruits at all. So let's take a walk through and see what is planted and how they look different now before and during blossom. That's really important because it's the blossoms that are going to identify those wild trees to you when you're out in the woods. What I see in the background here, beautiful trees in the background, are the white blossoms of cherry trees and the red-pink blossoms of peach trees. They are blossoming now, calling bees, getting things done. But what I have here in front of me is an apple tree. And if you look closely, we are at what we might call tight cluster. There you go. That's the beginning of a group of apples. These have not blossomed yet. These are cultivated trees. As you walk up and you look at what makes an apple tree, these are fruiting spurs. These are these little buds that come off, and then you've got the blossoms that come off, and inside of them, these are at what we call pink. I don't know how well you can see that color right now against the dark sky, but that pink, they're getting ready to blossom soon. So again, you have clusters inside of an apple blossom set. You'll have clusters that become the fruitlets later, and you're not going to see that on another tree. So the big thing now is the leaves are coming out. They're starting to show color, but you don't have that bright blossoms to help you find the trees. And you're going to be using those bright blossoms to help you find the trees. If you come up on a tree and it's blossoming, lots of different kinds of trees blossom, but you're going to be looking for fruitlets. You're going to be looking for the stuff that apples are made of. I hope you can see that. That's what you're looking for, and you're going to want to remember where those trees are, especially if you're in a wooded area. The GPS on your cell phone might be one way to mark it. If you have a camping GPS, that's a way to mark it. One advantage to what we have here is being a home orchard. If you know someone with a home orchard, they might let you help with it, and they might actually encourage you to help pick it, because a lot of fruit ends up on the ground. Look at that. Look at that. Hi. Behind me, you see a grove of wild apple trees. There's other species in here, but a lot of wild apple trees. What you have is a maintained grove of uncultivated trees. This is on private property. It's a privately maintained green space. It's very nice. And it gives them a place where the deer can come and forage. They're kind of deer trees. I've harvested from here before, and they're not great apples, but some of the trees, a few of the trees, have produced very good fruit. The thing to do is, first of all, find the trees. And this is really a nice example of what these people have done to maintain this area behind me and make it a nice, accessible place for both people and for wildlife. It's the sort of thing to look for. If you know someone who has one, you might offer to help them maintain it, be it pruning, be it mowing, and be it picking. Not all the trees here are apple trees, but most of them are. They're deer drops. They're just naturally occurring. Now, if you're looking for a place to make your own grove, generally look around the edges of fields. Behind me is an open field. Apple trees in the wild don't grow in the forest, they grow on the forest edge because they need a lot of sunlight. They need that for the ripening of the fruit, the exposure of the blossoms. It goes on. So I encourage you to look around, see if you can find yourself a green space and some folks who may have what you're looking for. Maybe an old family farm or the like. Introduce yourself. Now's the time to be looking though, because pretty soon the trees will start blossoming, and you're going to want to look for those blossoms to go identify and make sure they are in fact apple trees. And you're going to do that by looking at the spurs and examining the blossoms. I'm north of Warren County right now in Chautauqua County, and I'm standing on a roadside by the edge of a field, and I see apple trees. I see them every time I go to get groceries. I've asked for permission to pick on this property in the fall, and it's been no. And the reason is legitimate. They lease the land out to deer hunters in the autumn, and that's something very important for you to consider. Don't get too attached to private property until you get permission, and don't presume it's public property. But it was a no. Look out towards the edge, and if you start to look clearly, you'll see those low lines of trees. And there's apples all along the edge. They don't get plowed. The deer drop their scat, and you're good to go. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. Go out, look for trees. Either find someone who has an orchard, go find wild trees, go looking. Learn to recognize an apple tree, find out where they are, and then when they start to blossom, check to make sure you have apple trees. Make sure there's hunting, if there is or isn't hunting in the area. Make sure if you're on private property, you have the property owner's permission, and let them know you want to pick at the end in autumn, because that's important. They'll probably let you go looking any time of year, but if they lease the land out for hunting, you need to know about that beforehand. Enjoy. Please check the links below for the reading list. For this activity, I really do recommend Andy Brennan's book, Uncultivated. It's a fun read. Andy's a great guy. So take care. Have fun out there. We'll be back. Bye-bye.